that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graham Spice, and Glenn Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur with both a match attending and international supporters view. Glenn, are you good?
I'm good. Yeah, just mentioned to you, it's my birthday today. So
Your birthday?
Yes, thank you very much. So yes, I'm very good. Getting ready for our holiday next week. And yeah, the kids are wondering where I am because it's 8 a.m. here, or 10 past 8 now. And on my birthday, and I usually run barreling in with a card and a gift. And I came upstairs, Leo's still asleep, and Iris is going to wait patiently for me to finish the podcast. So
He's very well behaved, I'll give her that.
yes, indeed. But yeah, maybe she'll make an appearance, you never know. But yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you going? You well?
I'm okay, yeah. I obviously had a difficult week. My dad died on Sunday. He'd been ill for quite a long time, so it was, I guess, not unexpected. But yeah, it's been a tough holiday period. But yeah, I'm hoping for some decent football to kind of take my mind off it a little bit. And I know that Newcastle, which we'll talk about in a minute, on Saturday, I'm going to. First game for a while as well, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll get on to the predictions a bit later on, but I'm a little concerned. But it'll be a good day out, if nothing else.
And you're, well, sorry to hear about your dad. And your dad was a Tottenham fan, Graham?
He was, yeah. He was. Not sort of hardcore, but he came with me a couple of times. One of the times we went, this is shows you how long ago it was. We were in the Railway Tavern before the match. Had quite a few drinks. We were in the Paxton. I think it was a Sunderland League Cup game, and we won. It was the first time he'd ever been in the stands. He'd only ever done hospitality before that.
Oh, wow.
So, and then we're back to Railway Tavern, and then I think we missed the last train, so we were walking to get a bus on the high street, and he had an absolute skinful. He started, some woman had a tiny toddler, and the toddler was crying, and she was shouting at the toddler, and he had a right go at us. It's like, this is nearly midnight, right? So he's like, what the bloody hell are you doing? He went really tore into it. He says, look, what, my boy's grown up. Look, he's grown up all right. You got to look after him. He's like, oh my God, so embarrassing. And also that night was the first time he ate a kebab, and my dad famously hated salad. Basically, a kebab was like the worst thing you could have him, but after a few drinks, he had that. So it was one of my favourite visits to White Hart Lane, the old stadium. So yeah,
good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, awesome stuff, mate. Well, on to current times. Notts Forest away. Well, first of all, I don't know if they're going to win the league, but they're certainly doing a bit of a Leicester, aren't they? No one had pegged these to perform how they're performing. You called it as a really tough game. I was a little more optimistic about what we might do, but look, we were undone again. Remember, I thought our pace was really lacking. I thought our intensity wasn't there. It was just kind of same old, really. Every kind of 3 or 4 games, or maybe more, you get this from Spurs at the moment, and we just played right into their hands, really, didn't we? Fully exposed ourselves to the counter, and I have to say it was Alanga, wasn't it, that scored?
Yeah,
for them, a really clever goal, but quite a simple goal as well in what they identified as our weaknesses, I suppose. But yeah, poor showing overall, and got what we deserved, which was nothing. How did you see the game? Was it on in?
I did. I watched it. It was on, but not in the UK. I did watch it. Yeah, they're all just dead on their feet because they're playing 2-3 times a week at the moment, and there isn't the opportunity to rotate that many players. I expected Brennan Johnson and Jed Spence to kind of really up their games playing against the team they used to play for, but yeah, they were pretty ineffective. I think it was in all the games that Jed Spence has played recently, it was probably his weakest game, and Johnson just didn't look at the races at all. I was surprised he didn't get hooked off earlier, to be honest, and rebalance the team a little bit. And then, of course, Dragonstein got injured. So that was then we got no one left to put on the centre back, and we got lucky that he did recover in time for the next game. But with that, and then of course a 94th minute red card for Jed Spence as well. So that meant he wasn't available for the next game.
Which, yeah, going back to the Dragerson thing, and I want to say it was Andy's Andy's press conference. We need to get him on the pod, actually. Maybe he'd come on. But once he's no longer Spurs manager, maybe he decided to come on and have a chat on his time at Tottenham. But it was his press conference, I think, between Forest and Wolves. And you talk about the Dragerson injury. Unfortunately, he did recover in time. But it actually rubbed me the wrong way in what Ange said. And it rubbed me the wrong way for the reason being, you've got a kid in Dorrington who, yes, he looks about 35, but he's only 19. He's trying to find his way at Tottenham. I think he's got a good future. And Ange's asked, I think asked along the lines of, like, what are you going to play a central midfielder there? Or Dragerson could pull through for the Wolves game. If he's half fit, will you still play him? And his response to the reporter was, well, we have no choice, mate. This is a position we're in. We have no choice. We've got nobody else. And if I'm Dorrington and I'm sat there listening to that, or his agent sat there listening to that, I'm pretty pissed off. Like, you're a centre.
I'm looking for a move in January.
Yeah, 100%.
He clearly doesn't believe in him. I was pissed off about it as well, completely.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, Bissouma, who had apparently been training to cover that position all week, has barely been good at midfield, let alone put in defence this season. So the fact that you would trust someone who has flip-flopped between great and terrible games over someone who's actually trained and played to be a centre-back.
And central defender,
yeah. I felt that was a terrible decision, but yeah, he's a little bit. He's got that siege mentality thing going on at the moment, hasn't he? I think he's got a group of players that he clearly are still responding to him, even if they aren't that good or injured or whatever. But I feel like it's a mistake because the issue isn't the first 11; it's the squad depth, and we'll never know if these kids can come in and do a job for us unless they get game time. And at the moment, how many of them are really getting Mikey Moore's and Mikey Moore, but then he was bought in at 40 million, right? So that's not exactly blooding an academy player, is it? That he's a professional. He's already played 50 games for Leeds or something.
Yeah,
that's not the same as Dorrington, but. Dorrington already came on in one of the cup games, I think. Probably did the Europa League game.
Yeah, he played.
He looked a bit shaky. I think he made one bad pass, but we'll never know. I mean, if he plays and it's terrible, then we haven't lost anything. Because let's be honest, he's not going to do a worse job than Bissouma. I don't think. Maybe I'm.
Well, Bissouma's a liability for me, even in the midfield.
Yeah.
And speaking in midfield, going back to the Forest game, well, he's undone all the good work. Benson Kerr, he's undone the good work with the yellow against Wolves in the last minute. But it was nice to see him back against Forest. Thought he did okay. But again, I don't think any player really covered themselves in any amount of glory.
And then anyone in that team, really.
Did a doggy, he went off in the Forest game, didn't he, injured? Was that the Forest game? But yeah.
That was the Wolves game, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay. So, I can't keep up with our injuries and when they're cut.
Spence got a red card in 94th minute, which means he couldn't play the Wolves game, which meant Udogie had to play because he didn't have anyone else.
Yeah.
And then he got injured. It's a bad one too, by the way. They're talking 8 to 10 weeks. I mean, we've really, I think we've got to bring a left-sided player in. We played, Reguilon's been playing. He's like, the guy was basically at the gate at the airport, ready to go anywhere, but he's back playing again. Did you see the Instagram post he put?
Yeah, Mum. Was it, look, Mum, I played the game?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was quite funny.
Because he was, January to June, he was at Brentford, and then prior to that, obviously, at United, and then he hadn't played for Spurs for ages, and then obviously starting to get
2022, I think it was.
Yeah. So, anyway, moving on to the Wolves game, obviously, you mentioned it, the doggy got the injury. I don't know, Have you seen any of the highlights? Well, the pivots you'd story to our listeners. I know you didn't see the game.
So the two as I said, the two reasons, and first one being my internet and my TV was down all day. Couldn't figure it out. The weird thing was my mother-in-law's was working, and she lives in the same house as us, but everything else was down. And I'm like, what the hell was going on here? And it was another one that wasn't on UK TV, so I needed the internet to watch it. So I spent ages looking for the problem. Anyway, I figured it out the next morning. I thought there's a specific cable that runs round the outside of the house that serves that part of the house that was down. So I traced it back, and I found bite marks in it, and a fox had bitten the bloody cable, and I managed to just like roll it back into a circle and like wrap it up with tape, and it started working again. So that was my going back to my field engineering days. I managed to fix it, but Christ, of all the things to cause a problem, it was a nightmare. And then in the end, as I said, because I ended up going was with my family Sunday night after. Yeah, that's cool. So I didn't see any of the highlights. I've seen a few bits online. I saw the comedy clash of players at the end of the game.
Well, I mean, there's a few things for me in that game, and they're positives I want to talk about. The first one I will talk about is the penalty that we won and then subsequently missed. If you do pull up the highlights, it's in the highlights. The way we won that penalty, our transition play was excellent. Like, it was everything that Ange would want out of Ange ball. Right, we won the ball on the edge of our own box, and within 20 seconds we were up the pitch and we won ourselves a penalty. I mean, that was brilliant transitional play. And then you have the other flip of the coin where it was which two players was it? Solanke and Johnson, or who was it that ran into each other? Benzinker, that was it, yeah. So that was a weird one. I was like, communicate, guys. But then also a positive, we scored from a corner.
Yeah.
So we take that. And then I'll tell you the Craigie stat, and you obviously didn't watch the game, so you wouldn't have heard the commentary. That penalty, first penalty we've won all season.
Is it really?
Yeah. First 10 we've got.
I'm sure we had another. Was it a cup one or something?
Must have been a cup game, but in the Premier League, that is the first 10 Tottenham have had awarded. Which, I don't know, read into that what you will.
It was, I think we had one in the Europa.
Yeah.
Right. I remember Son scoring one in the Europa.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I thought Kulusevski again did pretty well. I thought he had a good game again, give him the captaincy. I think he just seems to have this way about him of giving a shit and being able to G others up around him. I thought Son was poor, aside from the penalty miss. He's just, I don't know, and maybe I'm feeding into...
He's so peripheral in the game.
Yeah.
You can go 20 minutes and not even know he's on the pitch. I don't remember that ever having been the case. He gets really anonymous. Like, I don't know if it's just that we're not getting the ball out quickly to him, and if we take too long, then he's just marked out of the game, or whether it's just other teams have sussed us out, or whether it's him not showing or making the wrong runs, or maybe the way we're set up that he's making the same runs as other players and they're getting in each other's way. I don't know. I can't really, but he's definitely not had a great season so far. I mean, he's got goals. He's not terrible, but we've got really high expectations of him because we know how good he is.
He's going to be 33 in the off season, right? In our pre-season come out, he's been 33. So it's one of those you almost.
In theory, if we don't trigger his 1 year extension, he's free. He's free.
He can now
this month.
Yeah, he can do that now. Which, I mean, it's one of those where I look at Son, I actually feel a bit sorry for him because I really think, like Kane, he really deserves to have something against his name for playing for Spurs and for giving us what he's given us. But there was a few times in the game against Wolves where he would almost come, obviously, down the wing, cut inside, and that shot he loves to do, and you've seen it go in so many times. He had a couple of those, and it didn't look like he meant it. I don't know whether that's the legs can't do what the brain wants it to do. But hopefully this week is the first sustained period where every single player in that 11 or the squad actually gets a bit of rest. And speaking of rest, I've got to laugh at some fans. I don't know if you saw the James Maddison thing when he went to the darts. And Tottenham fan called, "How dare you do that? Your form's been rubbish." What? It's like, he's a human being. He can do what he wants. Like, he's not breaking the law.
I quite liked his response, to be honest.
Yeah.
Shut up, you Wally.
Yeah.
I thought was decent.
But
If they turn up on the day and then they go home and they need to rest, they need to get... Those guys have been playing a lot of football and they do need to go and do something to let off some steam. Clearly, we're in a bad way. Having them sit at home, mulling it over in their heads isn't going to do them any good, is it? That doesn't make any sense. Well, not to me anyway.
Agreed. And coming back to the Wolves game, we had enough chances to put them away. We really did. Like we created an awful lot. If you've seen it or if you go and see it, the equalising goal from, what was his name? The Strand Larson, who, by the way, if you look at Strand Larson, is he Will Langshire's twin? Because they really do look alike. But his equalising goal, again, it was disappointing in the sense that we didn't get anywhere close enough to him. And Forster's beaten at his near post. But I will give Forster this. He's picked up some kind of an injury in that game. And he wasn't himself after the injury. Like, he stayed on because Brandon Austin...
I saw the game was stopped where he was getting treated, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Brandon Austin, the camera panned to Brandon Austin, and it was like he was looking like he was getting ready to warm up, and then obviously he didn't go off. But it wasn't even like when we're taking huge goal kicks, because that's not how we play. But Archie Gray, interestingly, after that injury, was taking them for Forster. So obviously something's going on. But he was being at his near post. He didn't look right, and I just think that was a little bit of the injury. So, look, we're going to get into Newcastle in a moment, but we might see Brandon Austin. I don't know. I haven't heard anything to suggest that's true, but it looked an awkward one for Forster, whatever he's done, and then he obviously wasn't comfortable in kicking the ball, so that tells you something.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we see a goallie coming.
So two other outcomes of that was obviously the Doggy injury and
Bentancur
suspension for reaching 5 yellow cards.
Which is fucking ridiculous. Like, in the way he got it, well.
Yeah. Unnecessary, wasn't it?
Unnecessary, stupid, like, all the good he'd done. But also, I don't want to get on Ange too much, but why is he still on the pitch? Like, he looked a bit knackered, shall we say? So pull him off on 80, you know?
But then, let's be honest, though, he's played the least football recently.
Yeah.
Well, like, everyone else is at least as knackered, if not more so. But,
and then Spence will slot in, obviously, imagine at left back.
Yeah. And then,
so,
assuming everybody else is fit, it'll be probably Oro, Gray, Dragusin, Spence, hopefully Forster in goal, but who knows? Sounds like that might even be a...
Yeah.
I haven't... It doesn't... He's not showing up on the injuries site, so maybe he's okay. And it was just maybe he just took a dead leg or something.
My concern for that Newcastle game is midfield. Like, they look really, really good and powerful in the midfield.
Yeah, they play 3-3, don't they?
They do. And they've got Tonali, Jolinton and Gimenez. And they look... I watched a mini match of their game against United. And look, it's against United. Bloody hell, they're poor.
They are, aren't they?
No, I mean, they're appalling. But still, it concerns me. They're very, especially Jolinton and Tonali, they're powerful players. And if Basuma plays, because he's probably going to play, because Bentancur can't, and he has an off day, Sarr brings you legs, but he's not the strongest. Like, he's got good legs in there, but we're crying out. We're crying out for something in there. So hopefully we see some level of activity in the window, and you're going. So you're going to the Newcastle game.
Yeah. 12:30 kickoff for us. What's that? 11:30.
Yeah, 11:30 PM. So
not too bad for you, is it?
It's not too bad. It's just what I tend to do is, because the pre-game will start at 10:30, so an hour's build up. But I usually just play PlayStation, play FIFA for a bit. I've got FC25, the new rebranded FIFA name. But I started a career mode with Wrexham and did 100 £100 million takeover, and I've got Steven Gerrard as my manager for a bit of fun. So I'll probably play that in the build up to the Newcastle game, and my mate might come round and watch it. But I fear for us, mate, and we haven't. I mean, we've not gone there yet on this episode because I think it's futile to do so. Because I don't know, if we were going to make a change, I think Levy would have done it by now. But do you fear for Ange still if we lose that game, which in my opinion is pretty likely, because I think Newcastle are in better form and are a better team than us? That's another home defeat. Do you fear for Ange, or do you think it is what it is now? To give one of you his phrases, is it just is what it is, and we stick with him now, and it goes till the end of the season, this regardless?
This season's a write-off, right? The league season is a write-off. We'll be somewhere in the middle. I can't see us. Even if we have a run of games, there's enough teams above us picking up points still as well that I don't see us making a dent in Europe this season. Yeah. Our only option for getting in Europe is to win a cup, I think.
Yep.
And maybe that's what we need to do. But then again, we've got to beat Liverpool home and away to make the League Cup final, and then probably play Arsenal. So that's not an easy. That's probably a harder route to a final than the Europa.
Yeah.
We won't play teams as good as that in the Europa, but we still got to win the games, and we've got to win those last two games in Europa still as well. And then we've got the FA Cup. FA Cup starts, and it comes at a really bad time because January's just full of games. There's about, I don't know, 7 games or something, or maybe more. I might have underestimated that.
Well, let me pull up the fixtures because the League Cup, I've forgotten all about them, not forgotten they were in it, but it's next week. So we've got
exactly.
So we've got Newcastle Saturday, Liverpool Wednesday, Tamworth Saturday, which he might mix it up a bit. Then we've got Arsenal midweek on the 15th of January. Then we've got Everton. My goodness, you're right. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in all of January.
So it's 2 a week, basically.
Yeah,
every week.
We're not just 8 games, but massive games in there. A semi-final, a North London derby.
Arsenal, right?
Yeah, a North London derby. So you've got some huge games. So my only hope is, especially with the League Cup, is that we can sneak either a draw in the first leg, or dare I say, a 2-1 win or something. And then when we go to Anfield, it's not until February 4th, Tuesday the 4th. Yeah. So that's, hopefully by that point you start to see some players coming back, or we've signed players. So maybe that offsets it. But for me, I don't think he's going anywhere. Not that I want him to, not that I agree with him being sacked, but I think it just is what it is. As long as we're in the other competitions and we're going well, then I think we stick with it. But Levy has surprised us before. Maybe he'll surprise us again.
I think for me, I can't just get anything out of the Newcastle game. I think that the way we defend actually suits Newcastle. I think they're quick.
These will tell us.
They will. I'm worried that they will just tear us apart, and it could be another embarrassing scoreline like we've had against them in the past. I know it's at home, and they don't travel as well, but even so, I'm concerned. If we get a draw out of that, I'll be happy. Really.
And then if we do lose, that's pretty much 2 months to the day we still haven't won at home in the league. Which is a terrible stat. No one's even talking about it. But
our next game is Arsenal away.
Yeah.
League.
Which is,
if you think about it, right, that's midway through the transfer window. So maybe if we've had a really bad beating in the League Cup first round, and we've lost to Newcastle, and then we lose to Arsenal, I don't think anyone survives that. I don't care how much I want him to stay. I don't think anyone survives that.
Well,
the crowd will turn. They will turn.
On those results, absolutely. And the North London derby is always the thing I say about North London derby. You've seen over the years far worse Tottenham sides get something away, and because it can often do that, right? It doesn't go to form. It's a one-off. But in those games, in those teams I'm thinking about, have we had so many missing? Probably not. So that is always going to be. But like you said, mid-January, maybe we'll see some Spurs players making their debut in a North London derby.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, but yeah, January's a really make or break for us, isn't it? I think for the whole season, because if we have two poor results in the Europa, we're not having another 2 games for the playoff if we don't get into the top 8.
Yeah,
that would be. To be honest, the 2 extra games would be worse than going out, I think.
Yeah,
because I don't think we could go out. I think we've got too many points already to not make it into the.
We'll get there somehow, but yeah, do we need the other games? Yeah,
but
no, very true.
So much riding on January. I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about the Tamworth game, but we've done it before, right?
Was it Newport when they got the draw, didn't they? Newport.
Yeah, I went to the replay at Wembley. Yeah, it was a 2-2. Was it 2-2? Your away game?
I think it was 1-1 or 2-2, and I don't know if
I think we were 2 down and we came back to 2-2 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I don't know, mate.
Gareth, who does the home and away intro music, he's from Newport, and that's
right,
hometown club. So that was entertaining.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, so if he underestimates, and we'll cover the Tamworth game in more detail in the next episode, but if he underestimates that and picks kids or just doesn't take it seriously, then yeah, we know it's the age-old thing. We know how these cup games go. If this is, say, an Everton or a Liverpool or a Newcastle going there, we're all watching on the edge of our seats, willing Tamworth to do something special. Everybody else will doing that against us, right? They want to see that. Yeah, and is it on TV in the UK, I assume?
I think it is, yeah. It's one of them sort of nuggets, isn't it? They kind of hope for.
Yeah, no, indeed.
And I've got a bit of 2 things, right? I told you that I hope we give them absolute tonking because they were all the kids there were singing Tottenham get battered everywhere they go during the draw. So I'm like, okay, right, that's nice. So yeah, like I really want us to steamroller them now. And then it's even worse. Have you seen how much they're charging for away tickets?
Do you know what? I haven't seen the. Well, I saw some murmurings about this on something, but what is it? So is it ridiculous money?
£42.
Bloody hell! So
that's more than a Tottenham away ticket. That's not away. But the tickets in the Premier League are all fixed at £30.
£30, yeah. £30. So what's our allocation? 500 or something? 650, yeah.
I think that includes the disabled seats as well. So like with that wheelchair access and so
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I just think they're just gouging us because they can.
Yeah,
they know we'll turn up. We'd probably do the whole stadium if we had the opportunity. It's only 4,000.
For sure, absolutely.
Even at £42 a ticket, we'd fill it.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, it's as I said, we'll cover it in more detail, but it's an exciting game. But going back to the Newcastle home, you're going to be there. You don't feel optimistic at all. I'm kind of with you, but I can see it being like another defeat, but like a 5-2 or a 5-3 or something.
I think the worst thing would be if we go 2 or 3 down and we start chasing it like we've done against Chelsea and
Liverpool,
and then we probably get 2 or 3 back, but they will probably ship another 2 or 3 as well.
They just pick us off the other way.
We just get super committed to trying to score, and we just leave our defences open like Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Something we didn't touch on going all the way back to the Forest game, I think we may have mentioned it, but it's quite ironic that Nuno has got them playing so well and they're punching above their weight, some might say, but they're in the top 4. He was run out of town for playing that style of football, right? But do you read much into, did we get rid of the wrong manager, or do you think he just wasn't a fit? Do you think he is actually shit and is proven that he isn't, maybe, but he's done all right at Wolves, but I mean, do you think, are you saddened that we got rid of him, or do you fall into the bucket if you don't really care? He was there that short of a time.
No, I just didn't. I never felt like it was a good fit. But again, it's one of those timing, right? So you come into Tottenham when remember he would have come in with all the deadwood in the squad needing to be shifted. Mind you, he still had Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And he, so I guess there's that. It wasn't this that, if I remember rightly, isn't that the season after Harry Kane had tried to leave?
Yes. Yeah, the Man City. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I think probably when we announced him, because it wasn't a one to get the fans excited, was it?
No, it wasn't. And we won a lot of games 1-0. I remember early on, like in
Man City first game of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what he's doing at Forest, of course, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. So no, it was just an interesting note that, of course, the one manager that we got rid of in recent years is doing really well with Notts Forest. But
it's almost like night follows day that people who leave Tottenham do okay.
Well,
they win something.
Yeah, we've got this horrible record of players that leave and they always go and win something.
Even our players that go out on loan win something and then come back. Yeah, it's like we've got a number of players who were in the squad who've gone away and won the Europa League and stuff like that. It's like, it's nuts, really.
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah, my prediction's not far off of yours, mate. I can't see us beating them, but let's hope we do. For your sake, mate, you're going to be there. This is your first game in a while.
I could do with a bit of a lift. I need them to all to turn up. I want to see a lot of Madison darts celebrations. I want to see him at the darts after the game. Is that the final?
The final is normally a Sunday night, I think.
It might be, yeah.
I think it might be Sunday. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it just would be nice to see people turn up for the football with a big giving everyone the bird because we've had a win. Would be nice for a change. Let's just say the darts crowd have been very vocal about Tottenham, and it's not always been very nice.
Oh, indeed, mate. Good stuff.
Okay, our next unsung heroes duo who played for the club over the years, who we think never really got the credit they deserved and gave us some fantastic memories. So I'll go first, Glenn, then. So my choice, I'm taking the away this time. So mine is Ronny Rosenthal, affectionately known as Rocket Ronny, and many other things, depending on how badly he performed that day. Joined us in '94 from Liverpool. I thought it was a weird signing at the time. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's this very famous open goal miss that he had against.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't it hit the bar? Did it hit the bar and go out?
The crossbar and out, yeah, but from like about 2 yards with an empty goal, no goalkeeper even. Like, it was like, it's one of the greatest misses of all times, I think. So I was like, what does he give us? So anyway, but then he played the 3.5 seasons for us, 88 league appearances, scoring 4 goals, which is not a great return for an attacking player. But then the reason that he is in my list is for one specific game that he played for us, which was an FA Cup 5th round replay against Southampton, which was played on the 1st of March 95, where it was not a great game. We went 2-0 down by half time, and it was not looking promising. And then
really?
Yeah, he did. He came on and he scored a hat-trick in the second half. When you consider he played 88 league games for us, scored 4 goals, 3 of them he scored in that one match. Absolutely mad. And ended up in a 6-2 victory after extra time. So we got from 2-0 back to 2-2 in extra time, and then scored another 4 goals in extra time. It was a really amazing cup game. One of those you don't see them so much anymore, I don't think, but it was a real exciting cup game.
Well, I
had all full of drama.
That particular cup run, I don't know if we've covered this previously on the pod, that I pretty much went to every round, including the semi-final we lost. But my dad, we'd gone to the first game of White Hart Lane when we drew 1-1. I think Klinsmann put us 1 up, and then Le Tissier scored a free kick to take it to a replay. But then, because of the allocation and there's the old Dell, not St Mary's, right, for our listeners.
Yeah.
the allocation, there wasn't a great deal given to us, so he couldn't get us tickets for the replay. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there for that. But I remember watching it on TV. And it's interesting because for our listeners who haven't, maybe our younger ones who haven't seen it or would like to go and check it out, if you watch the highlights, I think it's either his second or his third goal where he almost has a look of disbelief on his face that is happening as he celebrates.
It was a really amazing game for a very generally mediocre player. Yeah, like we have these players that I just think that, but they gave us some enjoyment in between all of the relatively average performances. But then let's be honest, aside from the years when we did have Klinsmann and better players in the squad as well, we had some pretty slim pickings through the 90s. We had some very average teams. Especially second half to the 90s was not great. I think the beginning of the Premier League was not kind to us. We didn't really keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. I think the other teams invested heavily in their squads. They invested the TV money early and into their squads, and we were a long way behind them, weren't we, for quite a period.
No, indeed. And notable, he was also Israeli. There's not many. I mean, there's not what other Israeli players could I think of?
Anna Solomon.
Yeah, Solomon. With Ben Ayoun. You see Ben Ayoun?
Yeah, he was at West Ham and Chelsea. Was he before that?
Yeah, and so. But not many Israelis have played in the Premier League.
Ben Haim as well. I think there's been a few. Yeah, not a huge number, but well, I think he's still quite well known in Israel.
Oh, I expect so. Yeah,
I think he does a lot of TV work.
Oh well, well, thanks for the memories, Rocket Ronnie. I guess over to me. For my kind of cult hero, unsung hero, tough as nails, a really dependable player is Justin Edinburgh, and sadly no longer with us. Really sad story that I'll get into that in a moment. But he was there, so it was about a decade, wasn't it? And we signed him from Southend, but he was just always a mainstay, but without getting like the plaudits of an amazing defender. But I actually thought he was a really, really good left back, and he was. He wasn't as good as the player I'm about to mention, but he reminded me of him in his tenaciousness and his tough tackling. His Stuart Pearce kind of just was always there, was always like getting stuck in. I don't know how many red cards he actually got, but I do remember a notable one in the League Cup final in '99. And it was him and Robbie Savage that had a bit of a coming together in the middle of the pitch. And they both ended up going.
I think that was restitution, I think, for something that happened earlier in the game. And also, there isn't anyone who deserves a 2-foot tackle more than Robbie Savage did at that time. He would wind everyone up all the time. So I bet he got a lot of bat slaps when he got back to the dressing room.
Yeah. We've gone ahead to the final. He was notable in for maybe the wrong reasons, but then also he played, of course, in the FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal and the final in '91. And you know, coming to my point made when I kind of introed him that he's sadly really, really sad because he was too young to die, and he was in Fight Fell. And the reason I know he was in Fight Fell is because he was at the Champions League final in 2019, and I had gone into the stadium with my mate, and I didn't actually get to meet him, but then we bumped into some other friends, and they go, "Oh, you've just missed them." Like there was a group of like legends or older players, and Justin Edinburgh was one of them, and my mate was like, he was the nicest bloke you could ever meet. He was actually on the way to the loo, and my mate's brother said to him, "Justin, you're our most decorated player ever at the current and because he'd obviously won the FA Cup and the League Cup, and he's like, bloody hell, yes." And then together, "Just go to the loo, but I'll happily come back and we'll have a chat." So he got a picture with him, and it was like a few weeks later,
less than 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
I saw him. I was there obviously as well, and I saw him in the tent in the supporters village. He was on stage singing with some of the other legends. So yeah, it was such a shock. Obviously, he at the time he was the manager of Orient.
That's right.
And he'd been there. He'd done a really good job there as well. They loved him. Yeah, and because I used to follow Orient for a little bit, back when I couldn't afford Tottenham season ticket, and when I couldn't go to games, I'd go and watch Orient. So yeah, he was well loved there, and there's a charity in his name now, Just Edinburgh Foundation. So
yeah, really, really sad. And like I said, my mate said like he was in the gym most days. He was in good shape and took care of his body and looked healthy. But really sad that he's passed on, because really heard that he's a nice bloke, and over 250 appearances for Spurs in all of the competitions that he played in. But yeah, so thanks for the memories, Justin Edinburgh. And yeah,
I have one other memory which he talked about. That he was in the 91 FA Cup final. There's a particular piece in that final where he and Steve Sedgley were basically winding Roy Keane up. They absolutely ribbed him the whole match. And Roy Keane, he's not exactly one to keep his calm. Yeah, I think they were trying to get him sent off, basically. He was a real master of the dark arts. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, great.
Also, when you think about it, right? So think about what you would get a red card for today with VAR and everything. And he still got a lot of red cards.
Oh, mate.
Well, that was a play. So imagine nowadays, he'd probably spent more time suspended than he would be playing.
No, yeah, exactly right. No, good stuff. Well, that was our two unsung heroes. Well, I'll pivot to you to close us out, Graham, but enjoy yourself, or hopefully enjoy yourself on Saturday, a nice early kick-off. Who are you going with? Are you going on your Todd, or are you going with something?
I'm not sure at the moment. Josh can't go. I'm trying to see if Thomas can go, but it's a long way back down. He's been down a couple of times he came down, saw me a couple of days after Christmas. So he might have had enough driving for one few weeks. So I'll see if he can go. If not, then I'll probably just go on my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I've got one of these weird football relationships. There's a guy that I met at Farnborough Station.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're going to a match, you go to a station and you look around and you see all people in this first clobber, and you think, okay, I was going to start having a chat with one of them. And I've got this guy that I've met a few times who I don't have his number. I have no way of contacting him. So the only time I've ever seen him. So next time I see him, I will ask him. But he's a really lovely guy. We've walked down the high street together from Seven Sisters a couple of times. He's a really great guy, and I've really enjoyed speaking with him. So I'm hoping he's at the station on Saturday, getting the same train as me to the game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a funny one for football, isn't it? Because I've had those stories too, where I remember one season when I used to go with my mate, it would have been like 2005, 2006 season. And sometimes when my mate couldn't go, I'd go on my own and get chat. And I got really friendly with someone for like 4 months. I couldn't tell you his name. I didn't have his number. Exactly. You just got used to feeling him.
Yeah, it's like I've got the guy who sits next, has the season ticket next to us. Him and his uncle have the 2 seats next to us in the stadium. And I've got him on WhatsApp now, so we can keep in contact with him, because he quite regularly can't make games and he has to put them on the exchange. So we've got options to have extra seats if we want them. And he's asked me for access to tickets for certain games as well. So like you get those little communities of people who, and actually we've been quite lucky. There used to be a really lovely guy called Kev who sat on the in seat.
Oh yeah, he kindly gave Liam, my son, the ticket for the Man United game. Just didn't take any money for it. Yeah,
he's a lovely guy. I haven't seen him for ages. I've got his number, so I can probably reach out to him. But he gave up his ticket because I just don't think he was going enough to justify it. But yeah, and then the guys there's a kid taking his seat. I say kid, he's probably 18 or something. And his dad sits in the row behind us. So, like, they're nice as well. There's one or two unsavoury characters, shall we say?
Yeah.
People who I like to call them the Tourette supporters.
Well, they were there for the games, and I was there definitely in 2023 in April. And my son heard the C word quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a traditional football chant nowadays.
Yeah.
But also there's a couple of women who sit in the row behind us who are very vocal and talk absolute rubbish the whole game. But they have like weird nicknames for the players. Like it used to be when Højbjerg, they used to call him Hodge. Like, come on, Hodge! I was like, oh my god, it was just it's the worst. And like everyone in our row is like rolling their eyes. It's like, oh, for God's sake! So when they don't turn up, you're thinking, oh, this is great. It's going to be a much nicer experience. And then they come in late. Oh, and it's funny though, isn't it? Like you can't really. I suppose you can move your seats and stuff, but there's no guarantee you'll end up with a any less weird bunch around you, is there? It's one of them things.
Supporting football is a funny old thing. You quickly realise sometimes the only thing you have in common is Tottenham.
Yeah, and even then, you could have polar opposite opinions on just about everything. Like, the people talking, I'm like, are you even watching the same game as me?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, what's he doing? I'm like, well, he's doing probably exactly what the coach has told him to do. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. True. Well, good stuff, mate. Well, hopefully you enjoy it. I'll close this out with, come on, you Spurs. Go and do something for Graham. He's going to be there.
Yeah, happy New Year, everybody. Thanks to everyone who's listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tickle the algorithm so we can get in front of more Spurs supporters. And on that note, as Glenn said, come on, you Spurs.
You can contact us on email at tottenhamhomeandaway@gmail.com or on Twitter X @TottenhamH&A.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on closer each day.